everybody, welcome to Bura. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the new Linux Phone and Linux Phone products. All right, welcome back. So let's take a look here at the Pinephone here. Now, today the stock market is closed, so I won't be doing any kind of stock analysis here. But I do want to talk about this thing that I saw here, and this is really cool. All right, so this is actually kind of a cool thing on their website here, but the Pinephone, and you can see that there's a bunch of different devices here. The Pinephone is Linux based. Now, a long time ago, well before smartphones happened, I always thought that Linux should make their own phone. And, you know, obviously at the time it was somewhat possible, but like now it's more than possible. And this is really interesting because it's because that you can basically get your operating system for free, and you mostly get what the hardware costs. Now, the biggest thing about phones and the reason why people use Apple is because everything just works, right? You're not paying for like the sum of the parts themselves. The Apple software, the Apple ecosystem is more than the sum of its parts, and that's why people buy it. Personally, I like using Mac stuff just because it's just easy, right? The opportunity cost of saving money for me isn't that high. Or the opportunity cost is quite high comparatively than what I would ever save. But there's a whole bunch of people that would absolutely eat this up. And I don't think a lot of people know about this. That's why I'm kind of making a video about it. And you can see here that there's a lot of other products here. There's like this kind of tablet here. There's a bunch of circuit boards, which is really interesting. There's a soldering iron. I believe this is a camera, which is also interesting. But this is the one that's kind of interesting. Of course, I'm going to take a look at all these here. But this is a kind of an e-reader. Very cool stuff. But let's take a look at the Pinephone. So they have kind of two versions here. They have like the Pinephone and the Pinephone Pro. And one thing that I find that's kind of interesting is that it has these kind of specs. I'm not used to seeing these kind of specs on a phone, right? And that's really all this is. It's basically a computer in your hand, which, well, basically that's what your iPhone is, but your iPhone is obviously has they don't really talk about it in the same way because it's supposed to be something new. But, you know, the other thing is that it's also repairable. So it's kind of interesting. So not only do you have, you know, your operating system being free, and it's really not that expensive, by the way, right? You know, it's like $149. Like it's really not that expensive. And then like the Pinephone Pro is only $400. I mean, that's awesome. So I could see, you know, parents buying this for their kids. I could see this in emerging markets. And the only thing that's kind of really holding this back is the app support, right? Can I get Uber on this? Well, if you can't, that's a problem, right? So that's probably one of the biggest barriers here. And it's always been a barrier. And if anything, now that Android and iOS are making walled gardens from a development point of view, developing apps might be a little bit more tricky. I always wished that things went the HTML5 road, but that never happened, right? So we could take a look at this Pinebook here. Now, if you don't know, the Chromebooks that are used for school are immensely popular, not only just for people, you know, for people in emerging markets. It's people everywhere, right? You know, you don't want your kid to have a really expensive MacBook because they're going to destroy it. If you don't have kids, you don't know what I'm talking about, but they destroy everything, right? But this is really cool, and it's got like a lot of really awesome. It's got a lot of really awesome features in it, right? And you know, this is supposed to compete with the Chromebook here, which I had a Chromebook and I didn't really like that much, but that's another issue here. And I don't, oh yeah, look at that. It only costs $99. That's incredible. So hopefully, we get more of these things coming up, because you really, getting people access to computers is definitely a good thing, right? You can basically get access to information, to learn things, and you know, a lot of people, believe it, I think there's like 1 billion people that don't really have access to this kind of stuff here, which is a lot. So once you get more of those people access to these kinds of products, then that's good. The other thing that, you know, is really good is that if this is web-based, then chances are you'll be able to use this for a long time. Like, it will go obsolete not very quickly, right? It's repairable, all this cool stuff. And let's see, that's the Pinephone again. They have a Pinephone Pro, which is basically, well, I would arguably say like kind of more of like a Linux laptop. But you know, this one arguably isn't as special, but it is kind of cheap. But it's good that they do have it here, right? No, this is not what I'm, look at this. So, but the Pinenote, this is really cool. So the Pinenote is an e-reader, and one of the things I saw years ago was a color e-reader, and I would really like that technology to come out a little bit more. And because, you know, a lot of people who like reading have an e-reader. Personally, I like listening to audiobooks more than reading myself, but this is something like, if there was a color e-reader and it had like some decent refresh rate, I would use that before bed. I would rather look at something paper before bed than something that has light. And that's a kind of a product that I really would like. And it's really not that apparent. You know, I just use an iPad mini to, you know, either watch some podcasts or something like that before bed. But this is a very interesting thing. I also like the design of this. Very cool stuff. And then they also have this kind of tablet type thing. It look kind of, you know, is mimicking the iPad Pro here. And the other thing is they also have a lot of these. Let's see, Pine Cube power supplies. So like they also have a bunch of these kind of circuit boards, like Raspberry Pi. And this is something that I think that will happen in the future, where you'll be able to, you know, when you look around at your kitchen, you have like a coffee maker, you have all these different technologies with different electronics in it. You know, I could see in the future, you know, people just kind of swapping these in and out. It would be like a little card here that you would just swap in and out of all your devices, and you'd be able to, you know, program everything. You'd be able to just kind of, you know, you'd basically be able to work with, well, all of your devices through like one kind of simple architecture, which I think would be neat. And furthermore, again, a little off topic, but one of these days 3D printing is really going to take off, and you'll be able to download something and you'll be able to just kind of make it, right? And in order to make the electronics work, you'd probably need something similar to this, and you'd just be able to do it. Now, that is well, 3D printing is doing a really good job, and it is actually way more prevalent than you'd think, just not on the consumer side. But maybe, perhaps one day, 3D printing might become really good at printing consumable products. That's probably not going to happen for a while, and then it might not even happen ever. But you know, if that were to happen, you would need something like this here. So I really like this kind of thing here, and I don't think it's very expensive either, right? Yeah, so it's really not that expensive. And then last but not least, we have a camera, which is neat. So, you know, if you want to have some kind of camera, and it's let's see how big, okay, so it's not a terrible camera, but you know, it's got a microphone in it, and if you want to, you know, set up your own camera system, that's kind of interesting. So I really like what this company is doing. You know, I always like when more people can get access to technology, just because, you know, it will, you know, it's kind of a thing where if you don't have it, then your life isn't very good, but too much of it is also a bad thing. You know, that can be said for most things, but technology is definitely like that. As you know, as the pandemic, you know, goes on and on, I'm personally kind of just using less and less technology. You know, I got this paddle board, and I'll be, you know, when summer comes around, I will just kind of go to the lake and paddleboard before, well, until the light goes down, look at the sunset, etc. You know, like that's the kind of thing I want to do, just kind of, you know, refresh myself for the day. But anyway, nevertheless, like I said, there's a billion people that don't have access to this kind of technology, and this is really good, because we really want, you know, these people and anyone to have a good, solid device. And I'm very excited about, you know, this and a lot of the other things that are coming up in the hardware space. All right, so that concludes this video. I want to know your thoughts down below. Is this a good idea? Would you buy one? Would you buy one for your kids or, you know, someone you know? Let me know. Also, if you really like this channel, you can support our project on Kickstarter here. This is a bundle within bundles. It's our 4th iteration of our Hello Coding series. And if you ever wanted to learn web development, app development, Android and iOS. We have machine learning in Python, blockchain. We also have game development, interview prep, and a whole bunch more. So the whole thing here is going to be absolutely amazing. And the more you pledge, the more courses you get. So please pledge today. It really does help with this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.